So Dave is telling his boss that he knows anybody, just everybody there is to know, he knows them. And his boss says, well, I really don't believe that at all. And Dave says, oh, yeah, just name anybody. So his boss says, okay, how about Tom Cruise? He says, sure, I know Tom. We've been buddies for years. So they get on his boss's jet and they fly out to California. They go down to Hollywood, knock on Tom Cruise's door, and Tom goes, hey, Dave, it's been a long time since I've seen you. Come in and have a beer. So him and his boss go in and have a beer and hang out with Tom Cruise for a while. When they leave, his boss says, I think it's just lucky that I picked Tom Cruise. You really don't know everybody, Dave. There's no way. And Dave says, well, of course I do. Just name anybody. And he says, oh, well, how about President Biden? Dave says, I've known Joe for years. I've known Joe forever. Yeah, we could go see him. So they jump on his boss's plane and they fly out to Washington. They go on a tour of the White House, and while they're in there, Biden's walking by and he says, hey, Dave. He goes, it's been forever. Come on back. I was on my way to a meeting, but come on back. We'll have a beer and catch up. So Dave and his boss go have a beer with the president. They leave, and his boss says, well, I'm just flabbergasted. I'm sure it's really weird that you know both those, but it's still just a coincidence. And he says, Dave says, listen, I told you, just pick anybody. Pick anybody that you can think of. I know them. I know everybody there is to know. And so his boss says, okay, well, what about the Pope? And he says, yeah, okay. He goes, let's go. I've known the Pope for years. We just go out to the Vatican right now. We'll go find him. So they fly on over to the Vatican, and they're down there in the crowds. And Dave says, this is never going to work. I can't catch his eye out here in these crowds of people. Okay, but I know all the guards. So let me just go on upstairs, and I will come out on the balcony with the Pope. Okay, just keep your eye open. So Dave goes on up there, and about half an hour later, he emerges onto the balcony with the Pope. But he looks around, he can't see his boss anywhere. So he sees a crowd of paramedics and everything down there. So he goes racing downstairs and goes out there, and his boss is laying there. He's just had a heart attack. And he says, hey, boss, what's the matter? And his boss says, it was the last straw. I just couldn't take it anymore, and so I had a heart attack. And Dave says, well, what happened? And his boss says, well, I don't know. He goes, you came out onto the balcony with the Pope, and some asshole next to me goes, who the fuck is that up there with Dave?